morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate articles essential, important, or optional. You can follow along at gaiinsights.com/articles. And please let us know what you think and whether you agree or disagree with our ratings. Let's proceed to the first article, Ankash, please.
Thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today comes from OpenAI, and they are introducing GPT 5.2 Codex.
Yes, the next level of coding that seems like very more advanced than the previous one. Adam, what did you think about this one?
I'll say this is optional news. Good morning and good evening, everyone. It's really a step change. It's as we've heard recently, they just came out with GPT 5.2, and it's really a fine-tuning combination of GPT 5.2 and the 5.1 Codex, which was their 5.1 version specialty for coding. So it's really a combination of those to make the 5.2 version of the Codex. I was using it today. It's not solving the problems that 5.1 Codex couldn't solve. It's not like that massive change. Sometimes like when Gemini 3.0 came out first or Claude 4.5 Opus, I'd give it a problem that I was working on and it would just fix it. And you could see there was this very clear step change. This seems more like an incremental change, and it was optional for me.
Okay, optional from Adam. Ankash, what did you think?
Optional from me as well, Luda. I think there's not much change here as we had seen with GPT 5.2. While they claim that it is much better than 5.1, haven't seen significant differences there. So similar sort of opinion for this launch as well.
Yeah. Okay, we're going optional. John, any disagree, agree?
No, I think it's funny how they only compare against themselves. Great. They're doing better against themselves. Wonderful.
A little, and it's a little bit, right? It's not in very but they're pushing, so this is good. Okay, Paul, optional, anything to add? Yeah,
nope.
Optional it is. Next, Ankash, please.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from Ethan Mollick, and it talks about the shape of AI, jaggedness, bottlenecks, and salience.
Yeah, an interesting summary piece from Ethan. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I was on the fence between optional and important on this one. I'm a little bit prejudiced because it's a problem that I explored, God forbid, 40 years ago in my thesis. And what it is it's a he talks about, how the challenge of the way I think about it is the challenge of automation in the context of a partial solution. Because what the AI can do is incredibly good at certain things and not good at others, and that frontier is constantly evolving. So he makes the point that, hey, there are new choke points, that the relationship between the problem solution, that is the AI, and the problem space itself is in fact jagged. And Ankash, if you could go to the thing that looks at the excuse me, the spider diagram, I think it's a little bit below this one.
Slightly down.
Slightly down from there, yeah. This notion of, knowledge, what's the AI good at versus the problem that you're trying to solve. And then he basically says, hey, look, this is moving, and that's why we called our paper The Jagged Frontier of AI. And then he goes to this other AI-generated illustration that shows, new choke points. It's like, okay, that's all cool. Problem is that I think that he misses a fundamental thing, which is that the problem space is not static. How you perceive the problem, how you deal with the problem, how you describe the problem actually interacts with the manifestation of the problem in the representation system known as the AI. And so that coevolution is a critical part. And you really, and this relates kind of to what Stephen Wolfram talks about in his concept of the Rulliad, which is computational, that certain things can only be figured out if you can do them or not as you compute them, right? And so this I think misses a fundamental point that executives should understand, which is you're only going to find out what AI can really do over time. as you interact with the model and the environment and people doing it, and that's always a moving frontier. One way to think of it is like the quality movement. You never get done. So I don't know. So this to me is an article that gives advice on an interim set of problems that are simply fundamental. And I don't like the way he looks at the problem, but he writes it well, and people will recognize it. So that's why I was on the fence. Anyway.
Okay. On the fence from John. I'm going to tell you that what you told to me last week, a confused mind. Okay, Adam.
I copped it. I totally copped it. I'm confused.
So, John, what was your rating after that diatribe?
What's that? My rating was.
He was in between.
I talked myself into optional because.
Okay, all right. Sorry, this was a diversion. So, Adam, what did you think?
Yeah, I was optional on this one as well. I think there are some interesting insights there. John pointed them out. I like the spider chart. Yeah. I like that concept in terms of understanding and being able to see the evolution of the intelligence and the latent capabilities of these models. But I think this article would probably do more to confuse than to clarify on a lot of things. And he doesn't do a really good job of sort of presenting a thesis. He sort of just says, well, there's these things, and some of them just kind of make things more confusing, and then sort of explains what the things are. So I was steering away from it.
Thanks, Adam. Ankash, if you can scroll down to the pipe graphic. And so he actually started off by, and there's an importance of Nano Banana and how it actually integrated the visuals and into what we can now do. But he points on in this graph or in this graphic, he points out that it's not necessarily AI that comes up with good ideas and streamlining processes and the like. It's our environment and like in biotech, the processes need to be validated and approved, and all of that is choking the innovation in a sense. Okay, Ankash, what did you think?
I was on optional as well, Luda. I think this framework has served Ethan Mollick well while explaining the shift to reasoning and the last article, which used a similar framework. But now in this instance, he sort of failed to explain, or as Adam mentioned, he confused the reader. So for that's why option.
Okay. Paul, we're going optional.
Optional next.
Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed to the next one.
Okay, the next one comes from Andrej Karpathy, and it's his 2025 LLM year in review.
Okay, Ankash, what did you think about this one?
So Luda, I was important on this one. I think Andrej here highlights a few important things. First is so RL from verifiable rewards. There is a discussion going on that we have these chips from NVIDIA right now, and all the models that we had till now, or let's say 12 months before as well, they were all trained on those set of NVIDIA chips. And the next set of chips, those are the Blackwell ones, they are just coming on board. XAI will be the first model, or their new model will be the first model that would be trained, and the efficiency gains or the scalability gains from that particular chip, we will see that in 2026. But there was a sort of 12 to 18 months gap between what was trained on the previous set of chips and these Blackwell. And if we didn't had RLVR or reinforcement learning, which sort of brought in reasoning as well, the entire GenAI landscape would have stuck on those set of scalable models without the reasoning part of it. So I think what he mentions about RLVR, that's important from that perspective. Then he also mentions about how Cursor is doing well and how they have built a harness around using Cursor for a variety of tasks. And his point around Cursor for X, I think we will see a lot more of that in 2026 in marketing, in HR, in legal, and everywhere. So I think some of these, I think three of his predictions, I think are really good for an AI leader to understand in terms of how the scaling has evolved or reasoning has evolved, and then what we will see in the next year as well. So important for me, Luda.
Okay, important from Ankash. Adam.
I was leaning towards optional, but I think Ankash makes some really good points. I'm definitely in the important camp now.
Yeah, I was important as well because he really captured what has happened from the innovation / functionality point of view that are frontier moves in the space. So I even from that perspective, I think it is a good, very small article, good to read. John, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not confused on this one. It's optional.
Aha, why?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like I don't see I don't see anything where he takes any risks in terms of what, choice, where he differentiates a set of future options that would help an AI leader make a different choice. He's just observing some, different implications of different technological things. So I didn't find it that insightful, and I didn't find it helpful to making decisions.
Got it. Paul?
Yeah, let me take the other side and argue for essential. I mean, this is one of the co-founders of OpenAI. He's in the center of the center of the center. He's speaking everyday language, and so many of us who are 3 or 4 rings from what's actually going on. This is a pretty unique perspective, and whatever he says, I think is very useful. I liked his take on the ragged edge as being a different intelligence. I thought was a pretty good, interesting graph here. I read this weekend. I forwarded like 5 people already. So I'm arguing for essential. I think it's sense making from someone inside the mothership, and who's talking to all the other frontier labs. And this is inside, and we aren't hearing that from other folks. So I thought that was essential from a sense making standpoint.
Yeah, and even Paul, I agree with you. Even in like a very brief pager, he articulates what moved this field forward in 5 areas, right? It's actually important to stand back and reflect on whether his predictions are correct or not. That's another thing. Okay, so did Paul persuade any of you to go essential? Adam, Ankash, John?
Luda, you got the chalk. You know how this game
I
works.
know, but let me ask my audience.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Paul, and that is important. Just give me a quick example of like what's something you think that being close to the furnace makes
So
this.
talking about where the reinforcement learning is now, we're reinforcement learning with human feedback, how that's changed over time, how that this is a different intelligence, and this jagged edge is just the wrong way to think about it. I thought was really interesting. Here's someone who's got a particular point of view on coding that I think is notable for people trying to figure out how coding can go in their organization.
Okay, Paul, you haven't been able to convince the audience.
Well,
we're going important on it. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if Paul's forwarded to 5 folks, that says a lot to me because he doesn't forward much. So
it's actually true.
Huh?
That's actually true, John.
Yeah. No, and so just take me through and I know we've got lots to cover here, but I think this is important because, as you say, he's right in the inside. Like, okay, so the insight about the the RLVR, right? Reinforcement learning variable rewards. Unlike, okay, both are relative. So he's talking about, I think what he's talking about there is that the fact that reinforcement learning is getting more sophisticated in terms of what we're trying to, what function we're trying to optimize. Is that a fair assessment of like what he's saying there?
Correct.
Okay, so he's saying that the learning method is learning, and that's really important.
Well,
sorry,
and 3 of the 5 people I forwarded to were really senior software architects who've just been spending 6 to 9 months in the AI space trying to understand, what's his probabilistic models underneath the hood.
I mean, for me, what he's doing a half-assed job of rediscovering Bayesian statistics, right? So anyway, I hear you, but fair enough. That's news to this audience. So what the hell?
No, reinforcement learning was from human feedback, and a lot of this
Which is
was right, and it wasn't sustainable. What he's saying, we've evolved in a model that it's verifiable rewards and it's progressing. So I think it is a big advance, and he's pointing it out very clearly in a couple of paragraphs. So I would live with essential gladly. Okay, essential it is.
I'll switch to essential because
Okay.
My business partner here rarely does this. So
All right.
This is the Paul. What do they call it in the Senate? The blue slip. This is Paul's blue slip on this point.
Okay. All right. Let's rate it as essential. Let's proceed, Ankash, please.
Okay, the next one comes from Google, and it's about function gamma, bringing bespoke function calling to the edge.
Okay, I lost my track.
Oh, that's me, Luda.
Adam, yes.
Yeah, so the news here, Gemma is a model from Google, very, very small, Gemma 3. So it's 270 million parameters, right? And so you get things down in the 4 to 7 billion parameter. They're running on laptops, but at this size, they're running on phones, right? So that's the real big deal when it comes to edge computing. And in this case, this is an edge model, a 270 million parameter that's been fine-tuned specifically for function calling. So that's where you want to do at the edge, potentially even completely offline, multi-step workflows, right? So you want to toggle system settings or set reminders or just take actions, agentic actions on the device itself. And this is particularly good at that. It's fine-tuned for it. They've also demonstrated how additional fine-tuning can really improve the performance of it. So it's really designed to be used by people who want to shape it to a specific purpose. So it's a nice step forward. Probably optional at this point. I think the concept is important. I'm not sure if this article emphasizes enough sort of what the capabilities are of this or what it's really offering through the capability. It's more just about announcing the product, which is why I was leaning towards optional.
Okay, John, what did you think?
Yeah, everything Adam said, but I give it an important because it's from Google and there's so few, Western capable open models. So
yeah, but it's
important.
a product announcement. It's very difficult area too. Ankash, what did you think?
I was between optional and important, Luda. I think using small models on the edge and fine-tuning them for mobile phones or smaller set of edge devices, that is important. We will see a lot of that in 2026, but this announcement, I think optional for me.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, optional or important?
No, definitely optional, but just a footnote. I think it's really important to continue to watch what Samsung does for their phones. So they're the second or the largest phone manufacturer out there. I think they have their own models. I know they've been experimenting with Google. It'll be interesting over time if they actually end up going with Chinese small models, because when you buy from Google, or Google will be forced to give them their models for free. So I think who ends up being the de facto lead AI intelligence on the largest non-Apple smartphone out there is a battle to watch. But this article is optional.
Yeah, Paul, I would add Qualcomm in there as well. What Qualcomm and Samsung do is going to be very interesting.
Yep. Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed to the next one, please, Ankash.
Okay, the next one comes from Anthropic, and they are introducing Bloom, an open source tool for automated behavioral evaluations.
Yeah, Anthropic, we have to give it to them, pushing the boundary in security and now introducing an open model to do this. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, in the land of the blind, one-eyed man is king. And I'm part of the chorus. We applaud Anthropic's investment and really got some pretty basic stuff, like being open about what the models are, and, like responsible evaluations. Like, wow, these guys actually care. I give this an important. The notion of managing and evaluating these models from their behaviors, not from their performance on specific benchmarks, seems to me where we're going to have to head, because I think that as we get more and more complex systems that have active access to decision rights, right? Because to me, the the big difference in this wave of automation is that you have AIs can remember their history, and we allocate decision rights, and they can create new plans and new decision rights on the back of that. You can't do that even in a lights out manufacturing place. So I think that's fundamentally different. And so if we're going to give complex things that we can't see the articulation of how they get to an answer, so they're opaque, and then we're going to give them decision rights, we're going to give them dynamic decision rights. Essentially what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to having to manage these things behaviorally, not functionally. And so I think that this whole domain is massively important. And the idea of trying to create a set of, I think of them as meta benchmarks, where we can compare behavioral outcomes along important dimensions, I think is a whole new area of evaluation, I think appropriate. I don't think it's that well developed. It's brand new and so forth. That's why I gave it important, not essential. That's where I am.
Okay. Important from John. Adam, what did you think?
Yep, spot on.
Spot on.
I was in the important camp for sure on this.
Yeah, me too. And Kaj?
Important, Luda. I think this particular chart that we are seeing on the screen, that makes it all the more important for me. If you see how they have compared other models on this, this can be biased because coming from Anthropic and OpenAI models, but then delusion, psychophancy, and long-term sabotage. So I think those are important things that we need to be careful about. So important.
Okay, Paul, what do you think? Should we propagate it to essential? Because this chart is really critical, and these are the various trends to watch in the models, and this is a very fair comparison. What did you think?
I'm 100% optional. I mean, this is a product announcement. I mean, I'm going to give kudos to Anthropic. I mean, it's for having been software for 20 years, what's really hard is roadmap trade-offs. And we're in year 3 of the AI revolution. Anthropic still does not have a image creation, a text-to-image feature. Part of it because they've chosen to put some of their scarce engineering resources on other things like this, which I find is a very thoughtful. Can you imagine a debate inside of Anthropic not having a text-to-image or text-to-video things? It's massive over there. So kudos for these guys being thoughtful. And I think these are some of the things of it. But I want to see how this, I want to see case studies, not product announcements. So this is optional in my mind.
Okay, well, they do have case studies in their prior discussions on security and the like. They're just evolving the frontier.
But they have a case study on who's using Petri, their Bloom benchmarks, and why it makes a difference?
No, I haven't seen the Petri and the Bloom. No, I'm not talking about this iteration of security ideas. The prior iterations, all of the things they've done. Yeah, I will come up with the study and send it to you, but I've seen some.
No, I agree. They do case studies. I agree. I'm just saying for this particular product.
For this particular, it's a product announcement, but they're pushing. And as a VC, I really like what they're doing. They're very focused. And for a startup, you have to be. And the results show that they're right. Okay, so important it is. Let's proceed to the next one, please.
Well, and before we leave that, Luda, they're also doing the same thing with their financials and how they're messaging the Wall Street for the IPO. So, you might well have a out of control Sam Altman wants $1 trillion and a much more responsible, thoughtful, focused Anthropic, and see market caps being very different a year and a half from now when these guys are both public.
Yeah,
actually, well, I can make the argument that this is strategic for them. Like when it came out with MCP, right?
Yeah,
and that's taken off. And then, being the setter of standards in a complex market, and I think we are going to have a meta evaluation set of benchmarks that are going to be behaviorally based, because you can't chase the software the developer community will continue to worry about does this do better on video generation than VO or whatever? But I think that this notion, I think management needs a set of tools to look at these things from a behavioral standpoint. And so I actually think it would be beneficial for IPO. Whether or not they should be in video, to me, is an interesting question, but I think relatively irrelevant to this particular announcement.
Yeah, not yet, right? But imagine going forward, we will have little agents testing for behavioral angles,
I think.
right, in the applications when it's out
But
there.
why is it going to be like every other benchmark? It's going to be a generalized benchmark, but I care about my use case specific. So I want
No,
behavior
but you would,
for my use case. Yeah.
yeah, you would be able to tune it eventually.
But Paul, there's going to be something. There's going to be some evolution in the
I agree,
context
John.
of safety and all that stuff.
So this is it's a baby steps, but it's in the right direction. Okay, important it is. Let's proceed to the next one, please.
The last one that we have for today comes from The Spectator, and it is titled "AI Will Kill All the Lawyers."
Amen.
Yeah, we've been talking about it that in professional services, AI can be really changing careers and the whole industries. But this is a very simple article that presents a scenario of a senior lawyer talking about the fact that it is happening, and it's faster than you could see, and it will change, and it will essentially eliminate the lawyers. That I don't think it will, but it's a very important message to the people at large to watch out. So I thought it was an important message, and it very interestingly articulated with a nice scenario. So that's my my thinking here. Ankash, what did you think?
I think this is an easy read, Luda, and highlights some important points. So important for that reason.
Okay, Adam?
Yeah, I was important as well. I'll read one little bit from here. It's where this barrister over in England is talking about using Grok Heavy to do a job that he had done himself. And he says, and it did it in 30 seconds, and it was much better than mine. And remember, I'm very good at this, right? I mean, of course, this is anecdotal, but he says, it was at the level of a truly great barrister, the best possible legal document, all done in seconds, 4 pennies. How can any of us compete? We can't. And there is a stark reality to that, even if it's a bit hyperbolic. So it's important to consider.
Yeah. Okay, so John, we're going important on this one. What did you think?
Yeah, I had it as optional, but I have a dear friend, John McGinnis, is professor at Northwestern Law. 10 years ago, he wrote something that for the law review that basically said not only is lawyering going to change, but the teaching of lawyering is going to change. And I look at the law as a crappy implementation of a large language model, if you will. And so, yeah, at the kill all the lawyers part, I don't like so much because my oldest boy's an attorney, but he's prosecuting attorney here in Cook County, and that's not going away. You guys have convinced me it's important, but this is so obvious. I mean, it's just, whatever.
Yeah, but I think, John, it's obvious to us. I was looking at this. Obvious, of course, we've been talking about it for 3 years, right? But it's not necessarily obvious out there. Yeah. Paul, what did you say? Triple optional here?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely not essential here. I mean, there's 495 AI startups in the legal space. Harvey is cranking. This is clearly in the crucible. Obviously, they're not going to get rid of lawyers and physically going in the courthouse and consoling victims' families. So I think the hyperbolic clickbait title is a little frustrating. So I had it as optional, but I do agree. It is a really good example of another industry getting blown up, blog posting blown up, entertainment blown up, coding, outsourced coding getting blown up, law getting blown up. And maybe for that sake, it's important.
Yeah. I mean, the example is really good, and it's personal. So, I mean, that's making it important, but this bigger question of what the law is in the context of AI, I think we're just starting in on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's rate it important. And as Ankash prepares the scorecard, what are the announcements, Paul or John?
Yeah, our 3 announcements for next Thursday and Friday this week, and next week we're off. So 25, 26, and January 1 and 2. Tomorrow we have our co-pilot training, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. And John, you want to give an overview of tonight's Learning Lab?
Yes, going to be giving some predictions. Some of them are going to be around the technological predictions, such as the fact that we think that 2026 will be the year of the edge, where mobile devices and things like that are going to happen. And then another, some of them are going to be around leadership and management. That there's a reinvention of management that we'll begin to see in 2026, which will be going from coordination and control to architecture and enablement, and we're going to start to see very different principles of organizing in 26, and those companies are going to perform a lot better.
And Luda, I want to add my prediction that John's going to use the chalk more in 2026 on this daily show.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be him showing up. He's going to kick his head off.
Great prediction.
Power corrupts. Power corrupts. Absolutely. There you go.
Yeah, power corrupts. Okay. We have today 1 essential, 2 importance, and 3 optionals. Thank you, analysts, very much. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Vivek, Ashish, and others who have joined. Really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.